Now, the book also talks about how doing good for employees isn't just about providing cool perks, but is about building a collaborative work environment.
Yes.
How have you done this as a leader?
That comes through in a couple of ways. First of all, we already talk about the culture. We already talk about communication. We talk about delayering the organization and having leaders accessible to everyone in the organization. I refer to my senior team at our company as blue-collar senior team, which my definition is we work for a living. We are not in the corner offices, and we are sitting right in the middle of the population of our organization. And that brings into the picture the physical element of our setup. We are in a very team-oriented environment where we don't have those so-called corner offices. The walls are glass in our physical setup. Conference rooms are glass. There is this transparency in our organization that just creates different level of interaction and accessibility in the organization. And National Life, just like many other companies who've been around for 160 years, had this hierarchy of, bigger title, bigger offices, and these walls, the cubicles with the tall walls and everything else. We just tore down the walls. It is bullpens, as I like to call them, which has brought different level of energy. We got to know each other better. There were people who had worked together for 20 years who really didn't even know much about each other. By changing our physical setup and creating that transparency, I think we made a major commitment in terms of the culture shift that we were committed to as an organization. As a matter of fact, I sit right in the middle of our marketing, distribution and product area in a fishbowl, basically. And I can tell you that by just doing that, I have created probably 25% productivity gain by shorter meetings and having the ability, as I walk through the hallways, by touching base with my teammates and responding to their questions and having a good sense of what is going on with our key initiatives, and very importantly, how my associates feel about what we are doing and what we can get better at.
Do you feel like you have enough time to think strategically because of that? I think the collaboration is fantastic that you have, right? And it really obviously has made a difference.
Yes.
What about when people really need to sit down and think strategically and need a little bit of space? Have you taken that into account?
Absolutely. When you're accessible, what is the downside, right? The role that I'm in is not a 9-to-5 kind of a position. So my time to think strategically, my time to think through things is usually first thing in the morning, right? My days start at 5:30 in the morning, and nothing like a good workout gets your mind to a place that needs to be to think about midterm and long-term goals of the organization. And also later in the day, that's really the time where you can sort of reboot and start thinking about the strategic goals of the organization. But also very importantly, as you are working with your teammates as a CEO, as a head coach, you have an opportunity of sort of being at 30,000, having the ability or know-how to dive in and go to 1,000 feet level and then climb back up to 30,000. I think that's absolutely doable. And that's one of the things that you sort of learn as you go through your journey as a leader.